Welcome, everyone, to the fourth episode of PPC Unfiltered. I'm Michael Nadler, and I've got my amazing, smart, charismatic, awesome co-host, Cory Lindholm. How are you going, mate?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm great. But we know that because we've already been chatting for a bit. So today's episode, this podcast is really about us two Google Ads and PPC experts just having real conversations. So we're going to be laughing. You're going to see the unfiltered, just like real approach. This isn't a polished podcast. This is real. This is raw. You're going to hear stuff that people don't talk about in their marketing videos on their YouTube because that's them promoting their agency. This is the raw, real stuff behind the scenes. So that's why we're going to be chatting like this. So today in this video, we're going to be talking about the difficulty measuring ROI. Now, this is a really interesting topic because you'll see a lot of content on YouTube, LinkedIn, people just talking about like, I got this ROAS for my client, like return on ad spend, a 10x or a 5x, which is outstanding. But ROI is not just like the ad spend in and the revenue out. It also encompasses the cost associated with it as well. So Cory is one of the best, if not the best, public profiles on e-commerce. So I'll give the floor to him in a moment about the ROI and measuring ROI with e-commerce. And then I can chat a bit more about return on investment for lead generation, because we've actually recently put together a system and product for our clients where we've actually started discovering what the ROI is, and it's fucking awesome. So I'm excited to talk about this because e-commerce, you can get a pretty clear picture, but I still don't feel like it's as clear as it should be, and Cory would be an outstanding source to talk about that. And then in terms of lead generation ROI, that is just like not even murky water. People just don't even talk about the ROI. They just talk about the cost per lead. So let's jump into the convo, mate. Cory,
let's do it.
Let's chat.
All right, you got it. Do you want to start with the lead gen side, or should I jump into ecom?
I reckon start off with ecom because, like, I've just been talking for a while, so I don't want the episode just
you got it. All right, you're good. All right, so let's start with the ugly side of tracking. So know that it will never be perfect in terms of tracking ROI. There is just so much in terms of privacy and ability to track things, especially if you are part of the European Union. So you're running your business there, you're advertising there. It's going to be tough for you, just honestly, to track every little dollar of your marketing back to actual profits. It's just the way it is. Now, if you're running an e-com site and you got like Shopify, CMS, or whatever it is, you will be able to see obviously things like net profit, etc. But if you're looking for something more complex, let's say a common one is like average margin per basket, right? That's getting like, oh boy, okay, now we're really talking like data analysis stuff, right? You are going to need some kind of data science department or a firm or a data science specialist to really dig in, because they've got to do, I'll keep it super simple, they've got to do a bunch of code to essentially connect the Google Click ID to that actual, the average margin, because what you're going to see in Google Ads is your ROAS, and that is a very unreliable metric to be basing all of your decisions off of. Now, in some cases, your business does not have the budget to support these tools or a data scientist, and that is totally fair. You're doing the best with what you have. However, if you can get that complex, or you need it to be that complex, those options are available. That way you can start seeing, okay, people are clicking on product A or product category A. What are they actually buying? What other products are they buying when they buy product A? This becomes a huge and integral part of our strategy and how we target things, how much budget, what types of bid strategies we utilize, what type of campaign types and ad types that we utilize within our campaigns. Those all become vital. But for the average Joe and Jane out there that have a Google Ads account, they're spending $2,000 a month or $20,000 a month even, you're probably not going to have a budget to support those things, and you're just going to be using ROAS. But I would really encourage those folks to still invest some money into an attribution tool. I know I talk about this all the time, but it's because it is so crucial to not just rely on the Google Ads interface and what metrics it reports. It under reports or it over reports more often than not. You don't want to be just trusting that blindly. So try to get something like that so you can really start tracking your ROI and try to expand beyond ROAS. And this can be POAS. This is another term that's trademarked, I think, by Profit Metrics. At the end of the day, it's how much money you're making over the cost of your marketing. But to Michael's point, you got to factor in a lot of other things. It's not just your advertising costs. What about the sales people? Like, how much are you paying your salespeople that are answering or following up those leads? All those costs should be considered, not necessarily on how you are targeting things or how much budget you're maybe giving to a campaign, because that's a little bit maybe overly complex. And again, you're not going to have a perfect picture. But when you are factoring in how much more should we be spending on Google Ads? Well, that's a good question, right? Because in that case, we do need to look at all of the costs associated with resources allocated around Google advertising. And that is going to be factoring in your salespeople. It is going to be factoring in, can we get a better deal with our manufacturer because the volume has increased? That way we can drive up our margins a little bit, and therefore we could spend a little more on these types of products or advertising in general. So there is a lot of complexity in the e-com world with tracking your ROI. There's no way we'll have time to talk about every little complexity, but I hope that that's a good starting point for people to do their own research and move forward.
Dude, that is awesome. So 3 things I want to drop. 1, profit on ad spend. What your thoughts are on that. 2, MER, which a lot of people talk about as well. And then 3rd, in terms of attribution, third-party softwares, non-paid promotion, but whoever Cory does recommend right now, you can pay us money. What are the type of attribution softwares that you've used personally, and you've seen that give you more clarity? So POAS, MER, and attribution.
So POAS is really the same thing as ROAS. So that's actually pretty easy to knock out. That's no offense to Fred at Profit Metrics. I love him. He's a super smart guy. Fred, you have all my support in the world, but it's just marketing play. I mean, POAS, ROAS, it's the same thing. How much money are you making versus how much are you spending? So that is what it is. But I like to go deeper than that.
Sorry, can I just interrupt there? And if people wanted to do that, just the everyday person right now, you can create custom columns in Google where it's like you do your conversion value divided by cost or conversion value by time. Now, for this, for the POAS in the account, most companies don't just have it. Like, they might just go, we've got a 20% margin. So then you could do some sort of formula times 0.2. Would you also recommend that if some businesses are different and they want to do it themselves, maybe create a custom column in Merchant Center that they can import into the Google Ads account?
Yes, you can definitely do that. Yeah, you can definitely do that. You can also use the cost of goods fields inside of your product feed if you want to integrate that into Google Ads, so that way that metric is pulled in. I found that it's a little bit glitchy. It doesn't always work for whatever reason. Maybe it's just me, user error, but I don't think so, because sometimes it seems to work, sometimes not so much. But you can get it that way. There's definitely some help articles.
Is that glitch in terms of the data actually being available, or like the data being off? Because most of the time when I look at that column, it's just empty, and I'm like,
right.
I don't know if I just haven't gone too deep with it, but I'm like, why isn't this pulling in? So
it could be even like putting it all in the feed. You've done the calculations. It's easy. We've done it manually in a Google sheet, and they've got 20 products, so we were able to just say, this is what it was. This is our cost of goods sold. And then in the profit metric that we were supposed to see in Google Ads, that automatically created column, there's either nothing there or it's the exact same as the revenue, and so it's not doing the calculation. So I reach out to Google if you're running into that. I've had them fix that for me in the past. They obviously didn't get into details as to what was going on, but yeah, you can utilize that. I would say for most businesses that are especially larger advertisers, that's not going to be like a realistic strategy. You could do it that way, but you're usually going to be using a feed management tool or something if you have tens of thousands of products, and you'll integrate your margins into it that way. If you want to have a tool that does this for you, I've already mentioned it, Profit Metrics. This is really advantageous if your margins vary a lot. In this case, you can actually feed Google through offline conversion imports or conversion value adjustments. You can actually feed into Google. Google's going to see it as conversion value, but really that's just an empty shell that you can put profits or you can put revenue. In this case, with Profit Metrics, you can fill that in with actual profits. That way, when you're setting a target ROAS of 100%, that actually is legitimately profitable for you
Yeah.
instead of having to, do that in reverse with return on ad spend and revenue. So many different ways to do it, but I would say, it's going to depend on your budgets, your resources available, et cetera.
That's awesome. The awesome insights there. And in terms of marketing efficiency ratio, or MER, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love that. So I would say MER is really good to utilize, especially if, going back to old school stuff, if you were just looking at your account and saying the cost per sale is X, but your basket, your average order values vary a lot, that's not a smart way to look at how efficient things are, because your cost per acquisition could look terrible, but the average order value is so high for a given campaign or set of products that would be really a bad idea. It'd be a blunder to utilize cost per acquisition. Well, it works the same way with cost per acquired customer, and so CAC it would be the sort of CPA, the old school CPA, versus an MER. MER, immediate efficiency ratio, that is going to be taking into account all of your marketing costs. You're not really going to be optimizing your campaigns off of MER necessarily. This gets a little bit more into the accounting world, which I can't speak to as much. It's going to be very business dependent, but from a PPC management and campaign management standpoint, you're going to still want to be leaning a little bit more on return on ad spend. And this is a whole broad topic of attribution, and whether you're using click attribution or view plus click attribution. It's getting a little bit overly complex for, I think, most people. But MER is really good when your average order value varies quite a lot. I think that's the most basic thing. However, I think this is super important. You still want to be keeping account of your cost per acquired new customers. One of my favorite metrics that you're going to get an attribution tool, or you could kind of connect the two, just hacking it together with Shopify or whatever your CMS is and what Google Ads is showing. But essentially, okay, we know our MER is solid. It needs to be above a 3x or something. But you also want to be tracking that cost per acquired new customer, because it can really illuminate targeting inefficiencies and areas where, depending on the average order value of the products that are in that campaign, can really illuminate, again, targeting issues. Maybe it's search term relevancy. Maybe it's the placements, like full build PMAX or something. It can really help be utilized, I should say, as a diagnostics tool, but maybe not something that you're basing all of your decisions off of. That might, if you have average order values that are varying, be more MER heavy. Nice. So again, this is a very, very complex topic, but that's as simply as I could put it.
Well, the thing is, at the end of the day, we're not giving the technical implementation strategy right here. We're just giving strategies and insights that we've had from running huge accounts, lots of accounts, to people, so they can go, wow, I didn't know that was possible. Because sometimes the most important thing is discovering what you don't know, like just what you're not even, like, you don't know, and then just being aware, oh, I don't know that now. So just the awareness can bring a new perspective. That's why I love having these conversations, because even I'm like, wow, didn't even think about it that way. That opens another door in my brain. And in terms of attribution softwares that you've actually used and you've found to be quite beneficial, once again, whatever name drop here is welcome to promote us, or sponsor us. So what are the attribution softwares that you've been using and found really valuable and insightful?
Of course. So I've mostly worked with Rockerbox. I'm sorry, I should say the three that I work with the most is Northbeam, Triple Whale, and Rockerbox, just because a lot of the larger agencies that I work with tend to like to utilize those tools, as well as more research-heavy clients also have found that those are the better tools to utilize, just from their own unique experience. I'm not saying they are the best. That's up for debate. My favorite to use by far, and I'll disclaim this, I am a partner of both Northbeam and Triple Whale, and because they're awesome, I support them because I only want my clients using those attribution tools. No shade on Rockerbox, just is what it is. But yeah, those are my two favorites. There's plenty of Shopify plugins. You know how that is. There's a million Shopify plugins. There's other tools out there, but those are by far my favorites.
Excellent. Awesome, mate. So nice. Difficulty measuring ROI for e-commerce. Any other last points on that before we jump into the lead gen space? Like,
I would just say that
things.
this is a huge golden nugget, and I hope that people will be able to understand this, because it does very much relate to ROI when you're in growth mode. And I mean, like, your volume of sales, whatever it is very important in this world of attribution and ROI to look at what, again, this is if you're in scale volume growth mode, what campaigns are actually driving a lot of first click attributed revenue. This is very, very key to growth, because what you can't scale or can't scale well is last click attributed revenue, right? Because essentially that's going to be like your branded campaigns. What these tools will help you reveal is campaign A, let's say it's your non-branded search campaign, doesn't look like in Google Ads with data-driven attribution, or even in the Northbeam or something like that, it's really giving you a lot of revenue. I mean, MER looks bad, cost per acquired customer is really high, whatever it is. But when you actually factor in how much first click attributed revenue, in other words, for the layman's out there, if we were to be attributing conversion credit mostly to campaigns that started a customer in our attribution or conversion path to eventually get a sale from, if we were to heavily weight that conversion attribution credit to campaigns, keywords, ad groups, etc., that drove a sale eventually in the pipeline, you are going to find your scale opportunities, your volume growth opportunities. So that is really important. Now, note that not every business will have a big discrepancy between their first click attributed revenue campaigns and their last click. Some it'll just be break even or be about the same. That's fine. Though it might be a diagnostic indication that there's actually something going on in the marketing mix that isn't driving a lot of brand awareness. So that's another thing to think about. Yeah, that would just be my last thing, because ROI and growth is going to be a conversation that needs to be integrated together. I would say, if that's an important priority for the business. So make sure that you are looking and investigating first click attributed revenue using a tool like that, so you can really uncover where are our growth opportunities. That's going to be a big factor and a big metric to be looking into.
Awesome, mate. Do you think maybe we actually wrap it up here? I feel like there's a lot of content there, and maybe our next episode, when we record next week, can talk about the difficulties around the ROI with lead generation, because I feel like that is so valuable and I don't want that to be missed. And also I don't want the lead generation stuff to be missed. So are you happy with that?
100%, brother. That's good for me.
Awesome. So let's wrap this up, mate. Let people know about, well, firstly, everyone, remember, like, comment, subscribe, share this everywhere in the universe. It really will help us, because this is a new podcast. We know the value that is shared here is from direct experience, spending hundreds of millions of dollars between us, working with heaps of clients over the last decade or combined decade together. And we just know that if you implement the stuff and just think differently from what's being presented online, you'll actually start getting the results that you hear about online as well. So, Cory, let people know where they can find you or find out more about you.
Yes, sir. So, guys, you'll find me on LinkedIn just by my name, as well as YouTube.
Awesome, mate. Michael Nadalon on LinkedIn, marketlead.com.au, and my YouTube channel, which is Market Lead as well. So, Cory, mate, thank you so much for your time again today. Awesome just chatting. I'm so glad that we can do this. This is fun. It's exciting. I love laughing with you, mate. So thank you so much.
My pleasure as always. Thank you, Michael. All right, we'll talk soon.